The camera just fell off. The webcam. I moved the cord to the Focusrite, the little audio adapter that goes from this microphone, and the cord hit the light stand, and everything came tumbling down. Poor Leo went flying. He didn't go flying. He got scared and he ran. He wasn't part of the catapult of the light or anything. It is 8:16 a.m. I did a bit of light stretching while Yenny was getting ready for work and eating. I slept fantastic. I don't know if it's just eating less that does that or what. I've been doing the 18:6 fasting is just incredible. I say that after only doing it for 2 days, but my energy level is super high. After I ate last night, I got super tired, and then I thought I would feel sluggish because I ate so close to bed because I had basketball last night. I didn't have time to eat until after basketball, and basketball didn't end till, close to 8 o'clock. Luckily, I prepared a smoothie, had that in the car, and I took it to work with me that day before basketball. Left it in the freezer at work, so it'd be just melted enough after basketball, but it was pretty lukewarm at that point. Regardless, felt good. I'm kind of curious, does your body digest faster when you are in a state of fast for longer and have been eating fewer meals? For example, I have been doing 18:6 fasting and did one meal a day before that, and even eating too close to bed, unfortunately, due to scheduling issues. I couldn't eat dinner till 9 p.m. Went to bed at 11 p.m. and felt great. And still felt great when waking up, when have heard eating, I'm being way too explicit, have heard eating too much before bed makes a big diff. Interesting. It is actually quite common to feel better than expected after a late meal when you've been consistently practicing intermittent fasting or one meal a day. While the speed of digestion is a bit of a nuanced topic, there are a few physiological reasons why your body might be handling the 9 p.m. dinner like a champ. When you consistently fast for 18 hours or do the one meal a day, your body becomes more efficient at switching from fuel sources. This is called metabolic flexibility. The body is like a hybrid vehicle. That's what I've learned, where it can, we take in fuel all the time. Most of us are going off of gas, filling up at the gas station, so to speak. It's filling up at the fridge. But it's able to kind of run on its own battery for a lot longer than you expected. And unless you're super lean and skinny, if you're not that, you can tap in to your own battery, so to speak, your own fat stores, and live off of that much more than you think. This is called metabolic flexibility, which a lot of us don't tap into because your insulin levels are kept low for most of the day. Your body is primed to process nutrients efficiently when they arrive. You aren't dealing with a cumulative sludge of breakfast, lunch, and snacks, so your system can focus entirely on that one late meal. Fasting significantly improves how your cells respond to insulin, so when you eat a late meal after a long fast, your body is much more effective at shuttling those nutrients into your muscles and liver rather than leaving them to circulate in your bloodstream. So I guess it's just using them up quickly. By sticking to a strict window, you've likely retrained your hunger hormones. Even if you eat late, your body is in a state of panic or chronic inflammation. Additionally, fasting can increase sympathetic nervous system activity slightly, which might contribute to that great feeling upon waking. Yeah. Felt great. Felt fucking great. I enjoy this fasting. It's fun for me. It's cool to be able to go for a while without eating. I feel like that's such a thing that we focus on. I mean, we're just on this 3 meal a day kind of thing, and we don't realize that you can actually go a lot longer than that. And it's a great way to lose weight, but it's also a way to tap into something that um, a lot of people before us, previous generations, had to do out of necessity. And so, because of that, they've evolved that way to handle that, and we're not tapping into that kind of biological wiring that we are meant to do, because a lot of cool things happen when you're fasting for long periods, like autophagy. Like, it kills cancer cells and free radicals in your blood. All these good things. For men, it increases growth hormone, and um, reducing the fat uh, that you have decreases the enzyme that fat has, which is converting testosterone into estrogen. So the leaner you are by fasting from using your fat stores, you can possibly have more testosterone. So there's just tons of benefits to this fasting if a person is able to do it. What was I going to ask? When did people start going from like 3 meals a day? When did 3 meals a day become the norm? Or even 2 meals a day? Is it when farming came about? Like, when did we go from fasting from necessity to these scheduled automatic meals without really checking in to the body and to see if you're hungry? Although that is nuanced because I'm pretty sure the body produces a hunger chemical when it is expecting food, regardless if there is a genuine need for nutrition. Nothing is ever black and white, I'll tell you that much. All right. The transition from eating when you find food to eating because it's 6 p.m. is a relatively recent pivot in human history, driven by more clocks and factories than by biology. 3 meals a day standard isn't an ancient human blueprint. It's largely an industrial invention. Pre-farming era. For about 99% of human history, hunter-gatherers lived in a state of opportunistic eating. Fasting wasn't a choice or a protocol. It was just a way of life. You ate when the hunt was successful or the forage was plentiful. This created a natural feast and famine cycle that modern intermittent fasting tries to replicate. I don't know why, I just think this shit's so cool. Humans evolved to be highly efficient at storing fat and maintaining mental clarity while fasted, and it feels incredible if you have never fasted for a long time. The energy you have is stupid. Like, you just keep going, and your mind stays, at least for me, my mind stays sharp. Way more than if you're just, like after you eat lunch and you feel sluggish. Ugh, screw that. About 10,000 years ago, farming introduced predictability. Interesting. Once we had granaries and livestock. What the fuck is a granary? Granary. Oh, yeah, meaning. A storehouse for threshed grain. What is threshed grain? are separate, typically with a flail. What the fuck is or by the action of a revolving mechanism. What is thrash? Thresh. Usage example. Language of origin, please? They thresh the wheat by hand. Okay, so it's some mechanism to cultivate and utilize grain for food. That's a granary. Well, you thresh at the granary. So it's for grain, damn it. In livestock, we didn't have to wait for a successful hunt. However, even then, most cultures didn't eat 3 times a day. So even when farming was introduced, they weren't going hog wild with their morning buffets and afternoon sandwich and soups and all-you-can-eat dinners. Ancient Rome and medieval Europe. The Romans, for instance, were obsessed with digestion and generally believed eating more than one large meal a day was unhealthy. Interesting. In medieval Europe, the main meal, called dinner, happened around 11 a.m. or noon. Interesting. Why do they have dinner in quotations? Meaning of the word dinner. Origin. Dinner is the biggest and most formal meal of the day. Originated from 11th century Old French word disner, or however you pronounce that. How would a French say it? Disner, meaning to break a fast, derived from the vulgar Latin discernere. What the hell? Undo the fast is what it originally comes from. So it's basically the first largest meal of the day eaten in the morning, which over centuries shifted in meaning and timing from a midday meal to the evening's main meal. Huh. Breakfast was often reserved for laborers, children, or the elderly. Oh, okay. So even if dinner happened around 11 or noon, an earlier meal was reserved for people who had to go work, children, or old folk. Industrial Revolution, the birth of the normal schedule. Womp womp. 1800s, as people moved from farms to factories, they could no longer eat a massive, slow midday meal at home. Lunch, as we know it, emerged as a quick, portable meal to sustain workers until they got home. Yikes. To keep society running efficiently, schools and factories needed set schedules. That makes sense. If the whistle blows at noon, you eat at noon. We effectively outsourced our internal hunger cues to the clock. Well, damn. So yeah, then there's this hunger chemical, Ghrelin. You were spot on about thank you, about producing hunger signals regardless of the actual need. This is primarily governed by Ghrelin, often called the hunger hormone. Ghrelin is highly trainable. If you eat at 8 a.m. every day, your brain will trigger a Ghrelin spike at 7:45 in anticipation. That is so key. You think you're hungry. You think you're truly fucking hungry because it's 6 o'clock, it's dinner time. And, someone will say, you're not that hungry. I'm hungry. I feel it. It's really this Ghrelin. Possibly. I mean, shit, you could be really hungry, but if you're on a schedule eating, it's probably going to be that Ghrelin shit just saying, hey, you're used to eating at this time. The clock. Because I've been doing the 18-6 fasting, you have retrained your Ghrelin rhythm. Good for me. Your body no longer sends out those automatic hunger signals during your fasting window, which is why eating a late dinner didn't trigger a massive metabolic crisis. Your body was simply waiting for the signal you've taught it to expect. I don't know, that's just cool. Not being forced to eat around a damn schedule. And you get the benefit of feeling fantastic throughout the day. You feel much more productive. You have higher energy level. You're able to lose some weight in the process. And like at basketball last night, I felt light. Like I felt like I could move so much easier. It just felt, I don't know, I just felt lighter. Sounds silly. Maybe it's placebo, but it just felt like I could move more effectively without sloshing food around. Because sometimes I would eat, especially back when I just thought you should eat as much as you can to bulk up and gain muscle. I would feel food sloshing around in my stomach, and you just felt like, oh. So this is interesting. Yeah, that is just amazing to me. So fucking cool. Wow. All right, so I'm gonna ask. So because this scheduled meal situation is relatively new, it's safe to say that feast and famine is something that our hardwired biology is more used to or works better off of. Is that safe to say? Of course it is. It's very safe to say that. From an evolutionary standpoint, your biology is far more at home with a feast and famine cycle than it is with modern 24/7 food environment. While works better can be subjective, there is a mountain of, interesting word choice, of physiological evidence suggesting that our bodies are designed to thrive in gaps between meals. Yeah, and that's what I've been feeling. For most of human history, if you didn't eat, you needed to be sharper, not more sluggish. Yeah, because it's like if you're not eating, you're not getting food, you gotta be on your shit so you can fucking get some food, and so you can get food and so you can keep surviving. When you fast, your body increases adrenaline and norepinephrine, like that feeling of like focus and adrenaline, like, you know, like you're on, like woo. Yesterday, that's how I was feeling. I was at work, and I really been picking up this fasting and doing 18/6, 6 hour feeding window, 18-hour fast. Just started that this past weekend, so it's been a lot less food coming in with that feeding window. And I think I was just feeling the effects of it yesterday. Like I was just like, oh my god, it felt crazy. Like it was just so. I was anxious. I was pretty much anxious, and I think it's just the adjustment period of not being without food. And what's funny is that when I did kind of just ride it out, I'm like, I'm not eating. Be anxious, bitch. I've It went away. And so it's just like, fuck, well, guess we're not getting food. Come on, boys, pull in the fat. And I definitely have some of that to go off of, so we're doing fine. Bodies have built-in recycle. Yeah, this is the other thing. Bodies have built-in recycling program called autophagy. It reads as autophagy, but autophagy, the process where when you are in a famine state, your cells start breaking down old damaged proteins and cellular components used for energy. If you eat, the problem with normal eating is that when you eat every 3 to 4 hours, your body stays in that growth mode, driven by insulin, and I don't know, it says mTOR, I don't know what that is. Never triggers that repair mode. Constant eating is like never letting a janitor into a building because the hallways are always full of people. Damn. Good analogy, AI. Yeah, so your body never has this natural chance of healing and getting rid of old shit because we're constantly stuffing our face with patty melts and Chick-fil-A, burritos, oranges, bananas, steak, potatoes, and tasty treats. Biologically, humans are thrifty. We are world champions at storing energy, fat later. In a feast and famine world, the people who could store fat quickly during the feast and burn it efficiently during famine survive. So that's why we got a lot of, fat people. And shoot, I'm not saying. I mean, I'm a skinny fat. I got a good bit right now. Hopefully, I can burn it with my new fasting schedule. But I mean, that's what we have. That's why fat's a problem now. It's the Fat is the why we are here today on Earth is because the people back in the day, when they did get to eat extra, you store it and then you use that for fuel. So when you don't have food, you could keep it pushing. Modern life provides that feast every single day, multiple times a day, with no famine to clear out the stores, creating a biological backlog that leads to metabolic issues. And you just keep storing in the warehouse. We don't have any more room. Come on, bring it in, put it in the back. As you've noted, we moved away from checking in with our bodies. Hardwired hunger, true biological hunger, is a slow burn sensation. The hunger most people feel at noon is often just a Pavlovian response. I think that's the thing with the dog, the thing with oh, they had a dog where they'd ring a bell and give it food, and then every time they'd ring the bell, they'd give it food, and so the dog's mouth would salivate every time the food come out with the bell, and then eventually got to the point where they just rang the bell, no food, and it still started salivating. It was used to that sound that triggered the hunger hormones and all that kind of stuff. By fasting, you are essentially resetting your hardware to listen to internal signals rather than the clock on the wall. Is there a downside? The only caveat is that our ancestors also faced extreme stress. While our biology is wired, for feast and famine, it isn't necessarily wired for chronic stress combined with fasting. Oh, so it's saying if you have a busy schedule, just be chill, because apparently fasting is a form of stress and can be seen as though as a positive challenge rather than a burden. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so to sum up, I'm done here. I've been talking about fasting for 20 minutes. Your body isn't broken when it's hungry. It's performing a survival protocol that has worked for millions of years. The 3 meal a day norm is essentially a 200-year-old social experiment on a 2 million-year-old operating system. If that doesn't tell you right there that the 3 meals a day thing is not necessarily what you should be doing, what anyone should be doing, and it's based on the industrialization of factories, of set schedules, of people having to eat at certain times during work breaks, and the expectation of food and having it constantly on hand due to farming, rather than the feast and famine, going and hunting out, searching for food, eating, and then waiting to that next meal, which is much more natural for human beings, which is why the fasting movement has become so popular in recent times, to get back to our evolutionary biology. And sure enough, people are losing weight, having much more energy. And why? Because it's what is natural for us. So just because you may feel hungry for a bit, you might not actually be hungry. It could be that damn, what's it called? Ghrelin spike. Anyway.